Hello and welcome back to the Muses Patreon. Today we are doing a book review on Zuza's Slavic Kitchen Alchemy. So this is a really beautiful book all about Slavic recipes, herbal remedies, and folk wisdom. If you enjoy Slavic witchcraft, this is definitely a book to get your hands on. I just want to first show you that cover, which is so beautiful. It's all embossed into the paper. Absolutely stunning. So this book is a really beautiful collection of recipes, folk wisdom, and folk lore from a bunch of different Slavic countries. So this book was written during the breakout of the war in the Ukraine, and the book itself is very sensitive to that topic. You can see just from when you open it, obviously it's got the Ukrainian flags, colors on the cover and the inside sleeves. And it does talk a little bit about the turmoil that the Ukraine is facing in the preface. But it also mentions that folk traditions have nothing to do with imperialism and war, and that they are about life and healing. A lot of these recipes are written from Zuza's babcia, I hope is how you say that word, the grandmother, and talks about, the difference of life and the similarities of life between her and her grandmother. Her grandmother grew up during the Second World War. Her grandmother also grew up in obviously the era of the Soviets, and it's a really touching introduction to this book, to really know Zuza's history and to really know the issues and the really big setbacks that her family has faced. She also talks a lot about the religion, the dual faith, dual religion aspect that a lot of Slavic witchcraft has in it. So folklore, Christianity going hand in hand, Catholicism in Poland, the main Slavic gods morphing into Christian figures. It's a really beautiful way to discuss and talk to a lot of different people about how dual faith works, how having two very seemingly on paper opposing religions, you can still have pieces of both of them and create your own eclectic mix. This is a really beautiful introduction. It's probably one of the most heartfelt introductions of any of the books that I have, because it doesn't gloss over anything. It doesn't make anything seem, and they all lived happily ever after and, we'll get through this. It's a very poignant beginning to a book that is a lot of recipes for people who have not always had the best run of it. So the basic layout of the book is it does take us through the seasons. So we start with spring and move forward into all these different seasons, and it talks about how in Poland, which is where Zuza grew up, which is a really important thing to note, it talks about all the different folk remedies from that area. And it's not just kitchen, it's not just kitchen witchcraft, it's not just recipes. There's things in here for cleaning sprays made from sage, oat cleansers for the face. It's a huge amount of recipes that are not just edible. There is some cooking recipes in here, but a lot of these recipes are for the house, for the body, for the home. What I really love about this book is not only do we get a really beautiful story in a lot of Zuza's writing, we also get a really easy to follow recipe. There's not, when you're on a cooking blog or something online and you have to scroll through about 15 pages of this person's life story and then you get the recipe. In here, you get a paragraph and then the recipe. It's not, you get a paragraph of context and then you're getting the actual recipe. So because of that, you can pack a huge amount of stuff in. But what I also love is that there's whole page spreads that have to do with Slavic folklore. So you also have these gorgeous illustrations here as well, and a huge amount of information. So if Slavic folklore and Slavic cryptids, Slavic gods is something that you want to learn more about, this book is fantastic for that. I love a book that can give me both practical recipes, but also can give me, that theory element and basing everything in the folklore. I really love books like that. Also, the photography in this is really cute too. I'm really big on the photography in books, and I wish some of these were a bit bigger, just because when I'm cooking a recipe, I kind of want to know what it's supposed to look like, you know. I just wish that these photos were a little bit bigger so I wasn't having to, like, you know, look in on everything. And the illustrations are really beautiful, like on this page here. The illustrations are really beautiful, but when I'm making something, I do want to see what it's supposed to look like. So that's probably the only negative that I have. Overall, I think this book is a really, really beautiful way of sharing some really interesting folklore. My other favorite book in this genre is obviously Slavic witchcraft, which we've done a video on previously. I do think that this book is better. It's more thought out, it's more illustrative, it's more, I guess, based in kind of that folklore, whereas the Slavic witchcraft is really based very heavily in, here's the recipes, go through it, here's the craft work, here's all of this. There isn't that storyline, there isn't that evocative imagery when you're looking through that book, and so that's why I prefer this one far more. And you know, again, you just got, I cannot get over this imagery, it's absolutely beautiful. And Zuza is the only person who is credited for this, so I do believe that she also did the illustrations, just because I can't find a credit anywhere else to say that anybody else has done it. The only artwork that is credited to someone else is Kira Koreshnikov, which is the front cover, and that's it. So everything else I would assume is done by Zuza, which is absolutely beautiful. I can't really recommend this book enough. If you can get your hands on it, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful hardcover as well. It's really a good addition to your shelf. I probably rate this one probably an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed it. I was lucky enough to receive it as a gift from a friend, and so it was a beautiful, beautiful gift to get. The only thing, as I said, that I do wish this book did a bit better is to make those photos a bit bigger, make them more of an eye-catching thing on the page rather than just like a small little afterthought. Some of the photos are really beautiful as well, and so I feel they could have really benefited from being the main attraction and not just a little side note off to the bottom of the page. The thing I love the most about this book is definitely the folklore, is definitely the way that it tells the story of a whole range of different Slavic nations and the linking threads between them. Sometimes it's really difficult when you're writing a book like this that kind of just lumps a bunch of different countries in together under one banner to get everybody in equally and to share everybody's story. Obviously that's difficult because, you know, you're sharing the stories of millions of people, but I think this book does a pretty good job of that. And if Slavic witchcraft is a place that you are interested in learning a bit more of, this is definitely a good addition to your bookshelf. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!